Welcome to episode 13 of the John Clampett Show. I got my Week 12 game picks and previews ready for you, so without further ado, let's get right into it. First up, Notre Dame taking on Pitt. College Game Day is heading to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Pat McAfee's hometown, to watch the 22nd ranked Panthers take on the 9th ranked Irish. This is a game that I do not think is good for Pitt. I don't think they match up well with Notre Dame. Pitt does have a good run defense. They lead the country in rushing defense in terms of yards per carry allowed. However, if you go through their games and look up stats, total yards throughout the game and points wise, they aren't great. Notre Dame's offense is really good. They're really balanced. Pitt hasn't played a team to Notre Dame's caliber yet this season. Both teams are 7-2. But Pitt, I don't think matches up physically with Notre Dame. Their freshman quarterback, Mason Heisel, I think is how you say his name. They're 5-0 since naming him the starter. He's got 12 touchdowns, 7 turnovers, 5-game win streak, like I said. But I just don't think Pitt matches up well with Notre Dame. And also, some of their head coach, Pat Narduzzi's comments he made earlier in the week in regards to this game, saying it's not a must-win game. He put more emphasis on their remaining ACC games. Kind of feels like that's not typical coach speak, and it kind of feels like it came across as he doesn't really care about this game so much, and he's more focused on the other games. I don't know if that's the case or not, but the way it came across, that's what it sounds like. Notre Dame obviously is can't get an auto bid because of the conference, so they're basically playing playoff football right now. They can't lose another game. I think Notre Dame is going to be more focused in this game and come out ready to prove something because it is their biggest test remaining on the schedule. Now, I do think they'll cover the spread. It's like 12.5 sitting right now. I don't think it's going to be a totally dominant performance from Notre Dame because Notre Dame is a goofy football team sometimes. They'll start really hot, come out, score a touchdown on their first possession, get a defensive stop, whatever. And then for the rest of the first half, they kind of relax. They kind of did that versus Navy. Started hot, got a defensive stop, scored, and then let Navy hang around for the rest of the half until they scored before halftime, make it 21-10, and then put them away in the second half. I think it's going to be similar to that. I think Notre Dame will start hot, let Pitt hang around in the second quarter, whatever, and then they'll pull away in the second half, and I have the Irish winning this game 36-17. Next game on the docket is a top 25 matchup between number 21 Iowa and number 17 USC. This game, I'm kind of back and forth on. I'm not really sure who has the upper hand here. I think USC matches up well with Iowa in certain areas, and I think USC has a pretty big disadvantage against Iowa in certain areas. Iowa's going to want to slow the game down. Defensively, they don't give up big plays. USC's offense lives off of big plays. I think USC, if they want to win this game, is going to have to jump on Iowa early and make Iowa play catch up because that's not what Iowa likes to do offensively. I think they're going to have to treat this game, USC, I think will have to treat this game similarly to how they did with Michigan because their run defense is not great. They do give up some yards, but if they can give up early, then it's going to force Iowa to throw the ball more than they want to and abandon the run game, which is kind of what happened with Michigan when USC beat them 31-13. Michigan was able to run the ball effectively from a yards per carry standpoint, but because USC jumped on them early and Michigan got behind, they kind of had to abandon their run game time management wise, and they had to throw the ball more. So I think USC is going to have to do that to Iowa in this instance. If they can't do that, then Iowa's going to drag them into an Iowa-style game and it could be bad news for USC. I do think USC will win this game. They're at home. They have the talent advantage. Their offense is really balanced. They've been able to run the ball effectively on pretty much everyone except for Notre Dame. Outside of that game, their run game has been really good regardless of who's in the backfield. And Iowa just gave up over 250 rushing yards to Oregon last week. I don't think USC is going to run the ball that effectively, but I do think they'll be able to run it effectively enough to keep Iowa balanced and open up some plays in the pass game. I think USC is going to score enough points to keep Iowa at bay and come out with a victory 27-19. Third game I'm picking this week is another top 15 matchup this time, as the 11th ranked Oklahoma Sooners travel to Tuscaloosa to take on the 4th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Oklahoma's defense, I do think, matches up well with Alabama's offense. Alabama does not have much of a run game, and they're not going to find much running room against Oklahoma. Passing-wise, Alabama, when it's on, it's on. They have a really good passing offense. They have shown at times that it can be off, though, and it's not quite consistent. Oklahoma can rush the passer, and they have a good secondary, so they could give Alabama's offense some problems. The problem is the game is in Tuscaloosa, and Oklahoma's offense isn't great. Since John Mateer has come back from his injury, he hasn't been the same player, and their offense as a whole has not been as efficient or as effective as it was prior to John Mateer's hand injury. I do think this will be a close game, but I don't think Oklahoma has quite enough on offense to balance out the effectiveness with which their defense is going to play against Alabama. And I think Alabama is going to score just enough points to pull out a one-score victory, 24-17 over the Sooners. Game number 4 is another highly ranked matchup in the SEC, top 10 matchup, as the 10th ranked Texas Longhorns travel to Athens, Georgia to take on the Georgia Bulldogs, ranked number 5. Texas appears to have turned a corner and is playing better now than they have at any point during the season prior. Georgia just keeps winning, whether it's ugly or impressive, they just keep winning. Texas struggled against Georgia last year, lost to them twice. Georgia was really able to get after the quarterback against Texas in the previous or last year in the previous 2 matchups. And this year, Texas' offensive line is not as good as it was last year. It's their biggest weakness this season. I think Georgia's going to be able to get after Arch Manning. Arch Manning is going to have to play his best game of the year if they want to beat Georgia in Athens. I don't think that's going to happen because I think Georgia's defense is going to keep putting pressure on them. I don't think Texas offense will really be able to find a rhythm this weekend. And I think Georgia's offense will be put in favorable positions because of their defense. And I have the Bulldogs winning a less competitive game than a lot of people might think. I actually have them winning 30-17 by 2 scores over the Longhorns. 5th game I'm picking this week is an intriguing matchup in the ACC between 19th ranked Virginia going on the road to take on the unranked but only one conference loss Duke Blue Devils. If Duke wins this game, the ACC could be in some serious trouble. Virginia only has one conference loss at this point, and they control their own destiny to get to the ACC championship game, and that is what the conference as a whole is going to want Virginia to do. Because if they lose this game, then Duke is put in a prime position to make a run at the ACC championship game, and if they win, the ACC might not get a team into the playoffs. So the ACC as a conference is going to be rooting for Virginia in this game. Obviously, Duke, as competitors, is going to play this game like they want to win. And I do think that Virginia is a better football team. If they don't beat themselves, I think they will win this game. And I have Virginia winning a close one, 34-30. But it's going to be one to keep an eye on because of the ACC race and what it means for the conference as a whole. Final game I'm picking is TCU heading to Provo, Utah to take on BYU. This is a bounce back week for BYU. How will they handle their losing their first game of the season the week prior to Texas Tech? I think BYU does bounce back. It's going to be a closer game than some would think or some would hope because TCU has talented players and their quarterback Josh Hoover can sling the ball around. He's averaging almost 300 passing yards a game. So TCU's offense will be able to find some rhythm and effectiveness against BYU's defense. But overall, I think BYU's a better team. They're more physical. They match up better. They're more balanced. They match up better with TCU than TCU does with BYU. TCU has one of the better run defenses in the Big 12. They're in the top three, third in the league in rush defense. But they're nowhere near close statistically to how good Texas Tech's rush defense is. So BYU is going to be able to run the ball, I think, and I have the Cougars bouncing back and beating the Horned Frogs 30-24 to stay within reach of the college football playoff and make a run at the Big 12 championship game. That's going to do it for episode 13. Don't forget to like the video, comment your picks for this weekend's games in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more college football content. Last video I put out was a rankings reaction to the college football playoff rankings that came out Tuesday. So if you haven't watched that yet, click on that and watch that video. And thanks for joining. And I'll see you next time on the John Clampitt Show.